Welcome to the show. You know, with a name like Casey Rose, you can only be a Broadway star. I mean,
oh my gosh.
Wasn't there some other Broadway star with a name like that? Wasn't there like Dixie Rose or something Rose? What am I thinking
Rose.
of? All right. I am super excited to have you on the show. And here's why. My wife and I decided to relocate to Florence, Italy, which is where you are at this very moment.
Yes, no way.
And we did some research online. And, you know, we all know that the best place to get your news is TikTok. I mean, where else would one go if you want to learn than TikTok? And we found you, and it somehow gave us a lot of comfort in watching your looking at the lens of your stories through a fun way and not a stressful way, because as many of the listeners of this show know, we're in the process of moving to Italy, and at the recording of this, we are exactly 11 days away from making that move. So we are I'm literally surrounded in boxes right now in our house. Like, it's happening.
Oh my gosh, it's happening.
It's happening. It's happening. We're so lots to talk about in that area, but I think a great place to start with you, because I want my listeners to know who you are, and I don't want this show to be just about living in Italy, because there's a million people out there who do that. I want them to fall in love with you the way our family has fallen in love with you. So I think a great place to start would be to start off in Canton, Michigan. Do you remember that place?
Yes. Long time ago, vaguely. Yeah, I do. Yeah.
You started off. You're from Canton. You started off a lot like a lot of children do, with, you know, pee-wee soccer, right?
Yeah, I was terrible at it.
But you weren't great, and you found that you were much better suited for singing Disney classics. That was more your thing, right?
Yeah, well, I used to do cartwheels and pirouettes on the soccer field, so my mom decided it was probably a good idea to not do soccer. So
she's like, I don't think, honey, we have a soccer star here.
She's like, I made a mistake. Yeah.
I made a mistake, but that girl can belt out some show tunes. Let me.
Yeah.
So looking back on that now, what is it that performing gave you at such an early age?
A sense of being able to express myself. And I know that sounds so cliche, but it truly was, you know, for younger children, it's a way for you to be able to express who you are without judgment and get to play another character, which I thought was so fun and so interesting, and getting to find like that creative part of yourself. Just finding the creative part of yourself. It was something that instantly drew. Obviously, I know I was really good at soccer, but I decided maybe the creative part would be a better option. So,
and I bet you had no idea while you were playing pee-wee soccer that someday you would be calling it football.
Yeah, I get killed here for calling it soccer.
Yeah, right. They're like, what are you talking about? Actually, there is another name. I was corrected. I was just in Greece for a month, and being in Greece, it was bizarre because we were in Mykonos, and we were having dinner at an Italian restaurant the night of the game for the Euro Cup. It was the guy who owns the restaurant is from Rome, and they one after the other, Italians piled in on Vespas, covered in flags, Italian flags, and I was like,
that night was fucking insane. I have never seen anything like it. It was like so prideful, and so it was crazy. I've never seen anything like it. It was amazing.
Crazy. They were covered in flags. But here's the thing. They were on vacation in Greece. Yeah. Did they pack them? Because you can't go to Greece and buy an Italian flag.
No, absolutely. They packed them. They packed multiple just in case one luggage got lost. They're packing a couple.
It was, I wanted, like, I'm American, and I wasn't like following it the way that they were following it.
Yeah, no, me either.
So I said to the owner, I'd love, can we stay and watch the game? He's like, forget it. Like, there's 12 tables in here. Like, there's no way. Like, there's a little thing called COVID, number one, and number
Right,
two,
right.
like they're lining up out. It was nuts.
Insane.
Okay, so skipping forward a bit, in 2011, you found yourself graduating Pace University, and you got a degree in commercial dance.
Yeah.
What is commercial dance?
Yeah, so it was in 2015, and so commercial dance it's a little bit different than your normal dance program. So it specializes, or at least the program that I went to, specializes in all forms of dance. So while some dance programs in colleges do the typical ballet, modern, that type of thing, my program, we did jazz, musical theater, voice, aerial, puppeteering, everything and anything that you need to perform in that industry nowadays was part of the curriculum. So I got a very vast education on multiple styles of dance, which was really, really cool. I mean, obviously you chose to major, but did you, because it's so far from something that I understand. Was it like, what does a career path look like with a degree in commercial dance? Is it Broadway and acting, or like, what is it? It can kind of be, so yeah, I had the same question actually, but no, it can be a couple of things. I mean, depending on which way you want to go. I had some classmates that went to LA, some that went to Broadway, some that went to film and TV, some that went to the more commercial side of music videos and TV shows, things like that. Some went to theme parks, down to Disney. Like, there's so many different facets of where you can go, which I think most people don't realize, because it's just, who's researching dance programs in their free time?
Well, talking about where you can go with this, everybody and their mother knows the longest running show on Broadway is Cats. I mean, this show has been going on since I grew up in New York, and I don't know, I'm 55, and like, I remember when I was a baby. Do you know what I mean? Like, seems like it has been going on for decades.
Yeah, well, they just revived it. Yeah.
They just revived it. Tell me the story of how Cats entered your life.
Okay. So I was in my dance program, and the partner of the dance director for Pace, was doing Cats regionally at a regional theater. So we all auditioned, because who wouldn't want to be in a skin tight leotard acting as a cat on stage? I think it'd be awesome. I know you would. I know. I mean, it'd be awesome. Like, to put, I think they call it drag, to put makeup and tights on, but go ahead. No, so we all auditioned. And that was how I got casted in my first production of Cats. That was it. You made that sound really easy, because if I walked in there and they went, okay, let me see what you got, honey, it would not be pretty. It was funny, because it was literally, I remember there was one part of it that was just improv, and it was just like, be a cat. What is that? Be a cat. I was like, okay, I'll be a cat. The things that I saw it was unbelievable. Truly unbelievable. I have so much mad respect for everybody in my industry that has ever auditioned for Cats, because it is a next level thing. It was so fun to watch. I honestly don't know. Like, this audition process is fascinating to me. I was talking to somebody once who auditioned for Saturday Night Live, and it's like Lorne Michaels is sitting in the dark. And you have, I think it's, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 minutes max. Yeah. And it's like, go, make me laugh. I've heard that about, I heard like Will Ferrell did a audition. Yeah. He did a story on that, and it's just like, make him laugh. It's just make him laugh. Is that? Well, you did it with a cat. I mean, like, I'm allergic to cats. I can't even, I don't know. Okay. So, one more question on Cats. What does it feel like to arrive before the show starts, get into hair, get into makeup, and then, have somebody with a headset or whatever go 3, 2, we're like, what is that rush like? And then the curtain comes up and boom, you're a cat and people are screaming. What's that feeling like? Exactly how you described it. Just the biggest adrenaline rush of like, oh God, oh God. And then you're like, here I am. Like, it's very
and then
like,
you're a cat.
Yes, 0 to 100 very, very quick, because it's when the first note of the music hits and you're like, oh, and then you're just a cat. I don't know. I can't even explain it. It's just 0 to 100. And it's just the biggest like adrenaline rush that you can probably imagine. It's amazing. I don't think I'll ever experience something close to the feeling of an opening night of a show. Just hearing the orchestra, it's amazing.
Whenever you do something for a period of time, you become habituated to it, and it becomes Tuesday. And you can do your taxes in your head while you're doing the task that has become memorized, right?
Yeah.
I can't ever imagine that happening being on Broadway, but has that ever happened for you where you've just become so habituated to it that your body is doing one thing, but your mind could be in another place because you got it dialed in? For sure. No, I think it happens to probably every single performer, because you're a cat or whoever you're playing on stage, especially if you don't have any, if you aren't physically speaking or physically moving in that part of the show and you're just kind of chilling on stage. It's so easy to let your mind wander. I would be surprised if any theater performer had not experienced that before. You just kind of have to click yourself back into it. And there's a lot of things that theater actors do, lots of tricks that we do to try to keep the show fresh and to keep it interesting so that doesn't happen and you don't fall into the routine of the same thing over and over again. Do you play with each other on stage where we're like, I know he's off script right now and he's fucking with me, but he's trying to get, or she's trying to get a little rise out of me to make it fun. Is that what you mean? Something like that? Yeah, sometimes within limits of being respectful to the script and the director and everything like that, you can play with the intonations of your voice and the lines that you're delivering. And then it makes it more interesting because it's a new way that you've never done before, and it becomes more real. It gets your brain going instead of being in the same routine of the same script. Yeah. I've watched documentaries, watched one recently on Garth Brooks, and he talked about what it felt like to be on the road and have an entire stadium screaming at him, and then going home to a hotel room and there was nobody, but he still had the ringing in his ear of the crowd screaming. So it went from total pandemonium and admiration, adoration, to being alone. What was that like for you, going, like, performing, having people screaming, and then going back to your apartment in New York? It's very, you have to kind of take a minute to settle your body down, right? Because you're still in this adrenaline mode, especially after stage dooring, for instance, and people are so excited to meet the cast and whatnot. And then you go home and you're like, oh, wow, because it's a lot to take on. And you have to let your body and your mind kind of settle back down to a place of like, okay, I am here. I'm no longer a cat. I'm Casey. Is it easy to get your ego in the way of this? Where you go, like, I was listening to James Corden interviewed the other day, and he said something really interesting. Yeah. He said he had to go to therapy for this. It was he had just hit in England with one of his shows. And he said, I walked into the same bar that I've walked into for years and nobody noticed me. Then all of a sudden, it seemed like overnight, everybody noticed me. And he said that moment, he said, I've been chasing that moment my whole life, trying to get that feeling back. And in many ways, I'm not as good as they say, and I'm not as bad as they say, but it was a little bit of a mind fuck for him. Does anything like that come up for you? Oh yeah, of course. Oh my gosh. Of course, because like you all of a sudden, you have that experience where people do recognize you. Maybe not with cats. People couldn't really recognize me with cats, but I did Chorus Line, for example, and I played Cassie. And so I was starting to have people recognize me in the grocery store or, elsewhere. And it can be a very, very, oh no, moment, because you start to overthink.
like any human would. Like you start to overthink.
Sure.
And it's hard not to, but I think the biggest thing is just being able to like recenter yourself and remind yourself that you are absolutely worthy and you are doing a good job and there's a reason you got the role. But it's a hard thing to do. And I think any actor has experienced that for sure. Oh my gosh.
I bet. So, all right. In 2018, you decided, hey, I'm gonna go to Italy.
Yeah.
And I'm going to do this alone. Can you take me back? I want to get granular here. Take me back to the moment that you're packing, right? And maybe tell me what that girl was thinking while she was putting all this stuff in the suitcase. What was going through your mind?
Flight terror. Flight terror. Of course. But also, you know, a mix of terror and excitement, a very bizarre mixture of the both. Anxious, but couldn't wait to be there. You know, and it's a very exciting moment, obviously, but I was scared for sure. But like you just.
What prompted the move? Not the move. What prompted the trip?
The trip. I realized that I had wanted to go to Italy for a really, really long time. I'd been wanting to go for a really long time. And I kept saying, I'll wait till I have somebody to go with. I'll wait till I have somebody to go with. And then I was at home one night and I was like, why am I waiting for somebody to go with? Like, I'm sitting here. I've been thinking about this for a year, 2 years of wanting to do this. Why am I not doing it? Because it just seems that life is too short to not do things, even if they are scary. And even if you do have to do them alone, it's too short to not do them. So I was like, fuck it. I'm going alone.
I'm just doing it. So you get on the plane, you're flying JFK, you land in somewhere in Rome, Florence, whatever. And how did your boyfriend Dario enter your life?
Yeah. Okay. So this is crazy because when I was planning my trip, I was only planning on going to Florence for 2 days, right?
Yep.
I was planning on Venice, Florence, Rome. Only in Florence for 2 days. A couple months before my trip, this woman walked into my work. I'd never seen her before. I never saw her again. But she had lived in Florence for a couple of years. And she was telling me how great it was and how much she loved it, X, Y, Z. So that night I went home and I changed my trip to 3 days because I was like, oh, she made it seem so great. So I'm going to change my trip to 3 days and come a day earlier than I had originally planned. So fast forward, I'm there at my trip. It's my first night in Florence and I decided to go to a jazz club that my friend had recommended to me. And I met Dario at the jazz club. Yeah. All
right. So Dario is standing there at the jazz club, you know, looking all Italian stallion, right? And you're like, you're Gypsy Rose coming in from New York on a little sabbatical. And does he give you the his version of how you doing? Is that like
a little bit,
except a little more this,
a little bit of a hand, yeah,
a little bit of the hands,
a little bit of the hand. No, he came over and he said ciao, and I said ciao. And I said, that's all the Italian I know. And he said, that's okay. We can speak in English. And then gave me one of these. And I said, all right, it's done. Good.
So that night you're at the bar and you guys are you're just talking, you're connecting. And okay. But then the trip's over and you just got a guy's number and you connected and there's a soulful connection, but you're like, I don't live in Italy and you live in Italy and I live in New York. But also in your head, you're going, but it's fucking COVID too. Like this is like work is Broadway shut down. Jobs are like, what the hell? But you fly home, right? Yeah.
Well, yeah. Cause it was back in 2018. So luckily COVID wasn't, around then, but it was so crazy. Oh,
that's right. I can't imagine a world without COVID. You're right.
Wasn't that crazy? I was watching TV the other day and it was an old TV show and nobody was wearing masks. And I legit was like, why aren't they wearing masks?
What
I had
happened?
To remember. I was like, oh, there was a world before COVID.
You're right. This is a little pre-COVID. Okay. But you did come back and then, so you went back to work.
Yeah, it was so crazy because we spent my 3 days in Florence together and it sounds so cheesy, but when I say we FaceTimed every day, we FaceTimed every single day. And it was, we talk about it now, just like, oh yeah, shit, that was crazy. Cause we never, it wasn't a question of like, are we doing this or not? It was just like, all right, I guess we're doing it. Like it was
going to do it.
Never a question. So, you know, I told him, I was like, well, if you ever want to come to New York, you got a place to stay, you know?
Yeah.
And then I texted him that when I was flying back to New York, and then he sent me back a picture of the plane ticket. And I was like, oh, okay. So then he came to New York a month later, and then he left, came back again 2 weeks later, because he fell in love with New York and wanted to look for a job there because he's a chef, so he can kind of work anywhere. And so he started looking for jobs, started to kind of get his foot in the door with a couple of places with some Italian restaurants that were from Florence, like him. And and so we did long distance for a year and just flew back and forth to see each other.
But he never got a job in New York.
He did, not till later, December 2019. December 2019. Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, how long was he in New York for?
Well, he moved in December 2019, and then COVID hit.
That's where, okay, got it. That's where COVID hit. Yeah. Okay, so COVID hit, then everything shuts down.
Yeah, but he was luckily, he was still here. He was still in New York. He was in New York.
So does he say, let's get out of here and go to Florence?
Well, I couldn't leave. I couldn't get into Italy.
That's right. Italy was shut down.
It was so crazy. I know. When you think about it now, are you ever like, that's fucking insane that happened? Because
it's crazy.
I stop and I'm like, I cannot believe that this happened.
It's just, it's like a dream. Okay. So how and when did you eventually get to Italy getting through this COVID?
January 2021, this past January. So like in, I think like October, or September even, I was like, what if we like lived in Italy? What if we went to Italy?
You asked.
I did, yeah, because I always wanted to live abroad.
Did you get an elective visa? Is that how you did it?
He was on a J1 visa, so he was working in a restaurant, and I am on a study visa here. I'm studying Italian. And it was study visas. I know, and study visas are one of the only visas that they were approving. I need to learn Italian anyway because my boyfriend's Italian. I gotta learn Italian. Right. So I was like, well, this works out. And so I was like, well, what if we went to Italy?
All right. So now we're caught up. Now we got the guy. Now we're living in Italy. You're in Florence. How the hell did you become a TikTok star? When did that happen?
It was so random. It was so random. I'm not kidding. Because I literally used TikTok. I shit you not. I used it for videos of cats and cooking. Like cooking videos and videos of cats. I never uploaded. I never did anything with TikTok or Instagram, which is hilarious. But how it started was we were on the plane coming over to Italy, and I made a compilation video of me and Dario's relationship, just literally to show him. I was like, look, I made a video, so fun. And I uploaded it. Yeah, I uploaded to TikTok. So I was like, why not? Sure, upload. And then I turned my phone off for 15 hours for a 15-hour travel day. And I opened TikTok 15 hours later, the video had gone viral. And I was like, okay. And then we were in quarantine. We had mandatory quarantine for 2 weeks. I was like, well, what am I going to do in quarantine? So I decided to start making videos of all these interesting things that I was figuring out here and learning as I was going along. And it was crazy.
Okay. So I don't know. I have a sense that you recognize what's happening, but I don't think that you get the totality of what's happening here. I can tell you looking in from the other side.
Yeah.
Obviously we're interested in moving to Italy, so we have an interest, but there's a lot of Italiophiles who are interested in this stuff. Okay. I'll wake up in the morning and my wife will say to me, did you check out Casey?
Oh,
did you see? I was like, no, where is she?
My God.
That's what's happening. What's happening is people are watching everything. I mean, I know what goes on when you get a haircut and you got to tip them, and you don't have to. I know you can't leave your house with wet hair. I know when to have a cappuccino. I know everything. So
oh my God.
You have a very unique spin on this. By the way, as an aside, do you know who Massimo Bottura is?
Oh gosh, it sounds so familiar.
So Massimo Bottura owns the most successful or the highest rated Michelin star restaurant in the world called Osteria Francescana.
Yes.
You know,
Dario has mentioned him because Dario is a chef. Yes, that's how I know the name. Yes.
I want you to go back and watch episode 1 of Chef's Table on Netflix.
I love Chef's Table. That's where I know him from. Okay. Yeah.
Okay, watch episode 1. Here's why. Their relationship is exactly the same. It started exactly the same as yours.
Yeah.
He was living in Italy. He was living in Italy. She was a waitress at an Italian restaurant. He came from Italy to work in the restaurant. They met there. He left. They had a relationship, went back and forth. She moved to Italy and now created the #1 restaurant in the world for the last 3 years in a row. Highest rated Michelin star restaurant ever. I'm doing an event with him in at his private villa in October, the 13th. I'll tell you about it later. It's crazy stuff. But you have a very unique spin on your content. So when you're creating things, obviously you have, the training on acting, performing, but you're performing a little, but you're not like over the top. Like you're doing like a little 1-minute play of showing us sort of what you're doing, but you're doing it in as you well know, the bureaucracy in Italy is maddening. It's maddening. So I watched your video where you did a video. It was the first time I saw a chink in your armor. It was like, can anybody work the fucking post office here?
Oh my God,
can anybody, for the love of Jesus, Mary, and Joseph, can anybody figure this thing out? So we're getting ready to ship our boxes. And I said, Kim, whatever we do,
do not do it to Post Italia. No, don't do it.
Do not do it to Post Italia.
Don't do it.
No, we found this company, just as an aside. You may want to do something on it. It's called sendmybag.com.
Great. Sendmybag.com. Got it.
Sendmybag.com. It goes right to we have a 6-year-old daughter, and she's going to the International School of Florence.
Oh, good.
Yeah. So some of our friends there is like, dude, like whatever you do, whatever service you use, just make sure Post Italia is not involved because it'll get all fucked up.
It'll get lost. Yeah.
It'll get lost. It'll get crazy. So your ability to communicate these things is interesting because you're taking maddening bureaucratic things, mixing them with customs and traditions that are really very, very interesting for you. And watching you discover these things in your first year, you kind of like we talked about earlier with cats, like this is new for you. So you're seeing everything with new eyes. But after a while, it's going to be like, well, this is how it's done in Italy, and it's not anything shocking to you anymore. So I love watching you uncover these things, and so does everybody else too.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome.
Something new every day, I swear. Something new every day. I'm like, okay.
Okay, hadn't seen that one before. Which of your TikToks are the ones that you think are resonating the most with people?
Ooh, I think the culture shock videos, for sure. The culture shock videos, just because I've had so many people reach out and be like, I had the exact same culture shocks, even if it wasn't when I moved to Italy, it's when I moved to Europe or to the States. So many people are like, thank God I'm not the only one that has experienced these culture shocks, because they are like something that you would never think about before you move to another country. Yes, there's Google, but there's other things that you just learn from living here, from living in a different place. It's just so different. And so I've had a lot of people reach out in that sense. All
right. So let's go the other way now. Let's talk about how the Italians are reacting to this, and I noticed that, there's a yin and a yang to everything. And, I've got my face out there on the internet just as much as anybody. I've got a podcast that people listen to, and I have learned to have thick skin because people can be fucking cruel. I mean, it's unbelievable, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's unavoidable. Yeah.
It's unavoidable. And I noticed in one of your posts, you did something where you were talking about menus in English, and somebody's giving you some pushback, and they're saying, well, that's a tourist place. And you're saying, well, I live in Florence and the whole city's a tourist place. So that doesn't mean that every restaurant I got the Italians' points that they're catering to the tourists, but also I got your point, which is that you're in Florence. You're not in, Gabagool, Italy. You're actually in Florence. Yeah. So it's going to happen. How does that feel for you? Well, first, what's been the reception from the Italian side, and how does it feel for you when you get pushback like that?
Well, actually, I've gotten a very warm welcome from Italians. I think because I truly do. I respect their culture so much, and I'm fascinated by Italy and Italians and I'm fascinated by it. So luckily, I haven't really experienced too much negativity and too much pushback from Italians. And Italians in general, I think, are just some of the warmest, kindest people ever. But when I do get pushback, obviously, at first you're like, oh shit. But I think everybody just has a different point of view. And as long as it stays respectful, there's nothing wrong with that, because I want to learn. I'm learning just like they are, and who better to learn from than Italians,
Than the Italians.
So, yeah. And so if somebody just say, you know what, actually X, Y, Z, I'm like, oh, okay, Capito, got it. And I'll run things by Dario first. I'll be like, is this right? And he'll be like, yes. And sometimes, Italy is a big country, right? And so things are done very differently in the South versus the North, right?
Night and day.
Something that I say about Italy might only pertain to the North, right? And so somebody down South would be like, oh, actually, we do that down here. I'll be like, oh my God, that's so good to know. And then you learn something new. And I think when you view it in that light, instead of taking it personal, it's all just a learning experience, and we're all here to learn from each other, right? It's the most beautiful thing about being able to share culture differences and being able to share culture shocks and things like that, because we get to understand and appreciate and respect the other person, and everybody gets educated, and it's a beautiful thing. So when you view it in that light, instead of it being this negative thing, you're learning, right? There's nothing wrong with learning and gaining new experiences. There's nothing wrong with it. So I think
there's nothing worse than the Americans coming there and talking about how things are different back home. Well, go back home. What the hell are you doing?
I know.
You know what I mean? Why aren't you trying to expand? I get it. They don't have a king size bed. Okay, that's not how they do it. They don't do it here.
Yeah,
my attorney who's helping me out with the Italian visa. We got an elective visa. And the attorney who's helping me out with it said, you have no idea the questions I get. I said, what's the most common? He said, the air conditioning's not cold enough and the Wi-Fi is not fast enough.
Oh my gosh, we love air conditioning. I had no idea. No idea. I'll walk in somewhere and I'll be like, oh, it's a little warm. Is there maybe an air conditioner or something? And they're like, oh, you're American, huh? And
American. I bet you want ice cubes in that glass too.
Yeah. Anytime I ask for water, it's so funny. The places I go now, because obviously I look very American. I don't know how, but I do apparently. And so they'll just give me ice in my water now.
Here's a fanny pack.
I wanted it.
Yeah, we'll give you the fanny pack and the ice cubes. There's no there's no Apple Pay, there's no Target, there's no Walmart. You can't get your ranch dressing, you can't get your Cheetos, but you don't have to leave a tip, or at least not much. At least not much of one.
Yeah, I mean, there are positives and negatives, obviously, but I think that's part of the reason why I share the things I do, to try to help people that come over here, so they don't have those expectations, because obviously things are going to be different than how they are in the States. Of course they are. It's Italy. They have different customs, different traditions. They don't have king size beds aren't as normal. It's two different beds put together, right?
Can I tell you how American let me tell you how American I am.
Please tell me I could back you up on it. I guarantee
you're not going to believe I did this. My wife is so pissed, but I don't care. I did it anyway. I need sleep. If I don't sleep, I'm miserable.
Yep.
And every time I come to Italy, I love everything about it but the bed. It's like it's two king size beds. I sleep in the middle. I'm falling through. I'm hanging on at night trying to. So I shipped a bed and it's waiting for me. I swear to God. It's literally, I just got the FedEx thing. It's there.
But I don't blame you though. I'm not
dealing with it.
I think there's also there's nothing wrong with if you do have things that you're very used to. It's something that really does bother you. There's nothing wrong with making it happen abroad so you can feel more at home and feel more comfortable. I think, there's nothing wrong with that. That's hella funny. I
did. Listen, I don't like the wrinkles on my forehead. I Botox. I look like I'm coming out of the Earth's atmosphere, coming out of Jupiter right now, entering the Earth's atmosphere. But I don't care because I don't want the wrinkles. Tell me about what you got it. Tell me about what happened when you fell asleep on a train coming back from Pisa.
Oh my God. Okay, so Dario was working, so I took a solo trip to Pisa. It was a couple months ago, actually. I was here. I'm living here, right? And so I took a solo day trip to Pisa, right? Had a great day. I went to a restaurant. I took some videos, all this stuff, and then my phone died. And I was like, no problem. I got this. I can take the train back home. I know how to do it, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. I know. I think you know where this is going to go. So I got on the train, what I thought was my train, and I fell asleep because why not make the story even better than it already is? But so listen,
people listen to the sounds of trains to fall asleep.
Yeah.
There are apps that do that. So that knocks you out. I get that.
Oh yeah. Fell right asleep like a freaking baby. I woke up hour later. Mind you, it takes 1 hour to get from Pisa to Florence by train. Not even 50 minutes. So I woke up an hour. I looked at the guy's watch next to me. I've been on this train for a long time. And I'm looking out the window. Another half hour goes by. I'm maybe I took the local train by mistake. I don't know. I started seeing highway signs for Rome. And I was like, oh shit, I fucked up. I've messed up.
So you wound up in Rome, Termini?
No, I was on my way to Rome, but I was okay, I've made a mistake. I'm on the wrong train. And so I went down, and the next stop I found the conductor, or one of the conductors. And I was like, hi, in broken Italian. I was like, il treno arriva to come to Florence. And he goes, oh no. He goes, this is going to Rome. I was like, awesome. That's amazing. So great to know. So what are my options? Because I need to go back to Florence. And so he's looking up. He was so kind. That's what I'm saying. Italians, they will always help you if you need help. But he's so kind. He's looking up the app on his phone. He doesn't speak much English, but he's it's working. I don't speak much Italian, but I'm powering through. And so he's like, okay, well, you can get off here at this small little town in literally the middle of nowhere. And he's like, you can take the next train. It's in an hour. You have to transfer a couple times. And I was like, great. So my next problem is that my phone is dead, because of course my phone is dead. And so he's like, well, you can maybe find a phone charger in this little town. I was like, awesome. And then the train left. It just left. And I'm in this small town in the middle of nowhere. And so I start walking into town, and I find this little restaurant, this little bar. I walk in. Again, this is a small little town. These people most likely do not speak a lot of English, and I'm working on my Italian. I'm getting there, but it's not perfect.
Yeah.
And so I literally was through mimicking, was like, mi telefono dead. And
you're doing dances with wolves, right? Matumbo.
Yeah, truly. This could have been my audition for SNL, truly. That's how it was. And so it was so kind though. It ended up being such a great experience, because they ended up walking me to a place where I could find a phone store. a phone charger. And then they brought me back to their restaurant and like fed me, gave me water and drinks. And I just like spent an hour talking in broken language to these people that I had just met. And it was actually a very beautiful moment.
And this was meant to happen. This is actually deepening your love for the Italians. Gave you a great story. And what have you heard of this guy who wrote a book? His name is Beppe Severini. Have you heard of this?
No, I haven't.
Dude, you're gonna thank me. You have to promise me you're gonna read this. Okay.
I will. Beppe, I'm writing it down.
Beppe Severini. He is a writer for the New York Times. Okay. He's from Milan, and he writes, it's literally called A Field Guide to the Italian Minds.
Oh, okay.
I'm telling you, if you read it today and you read the first chapter, you will not be able to put it down. You're going to be like, holy shit.
I must go Amazon.
You are going to freaking love this book. And he's got 10 of them. You're going to love them.
Oh my gosh.
Okay. So we're going to switch it up a little bit, and I'm going to ask you some weird personal questions as we wrap. Just roll with it. You're going to be like, why is he asking me these questions? Just roll with it. What is on your nightstand?
You Are a Badass, the book You Are a Badass.
I interviewed her, Jen Sincero.
Oh
She's
my
great.
God, you did? Was she amazing?
Yeah. Oh, she's amazing. She's a beast. She's a beast. She's a manifester. But in a really fun way. She's got like a hard edge to it. She's good. What do people often get wrong about you?
Oh my gosh. Oh geez. What do people get wrong about me? Oh my gosh. I don't even know. What do people get wrong about me? Maybe when they see me, because I sometimes have resting bitch face. So I think when people see me sometimes, they think that I'm mean. I'm not.
Perfect. That's exactly what I wanted. RBF. That's what I got.
Yeah, truly.
What new behavior in your life has most improved your life? So in other words, I started doing this thing. And since I've been doing this thing, it's actually really made a difference.
I started two things. I started saying yes, and I started seeing things in a positive light. I tried to spin things in a positive way and try to think about what I can learn from it. Even if it's something bad, what I can learn from it. When I started spinning my mind that way, it was like a whole new world and perspective opened up. Yeah.
That's so good. Started saying yes. And the other thing is spinning it positive, right? That's
even
so
if it's
good.
a bad thing.
Can you imagine if the world started saying yes more and they started turning negatives into positives? Can you
imagine? Yeah.
I mean, this is going to be Casey's next book. This is good. I love that.
Maybe it's on my title for my book.
Are there any opinions or positions that you've had in the last few years? It could be way back too. It doesn't have to be in the last few years that you've changed your mind about, where you're like, I used to think this way, but I don't anymore. I've changed my mind. Now I think this way.
I used to think that the world was a big, bad, scary place, and it's not.
Oh.
And it's not. The world is big. It is. But I think we are used to hearing bad news. And so we're used to feeling like there is a lot of bad in this world, which is normal because that's what we get on a daily basis. But there, in reality, is just so much more good than there is bad. So much more good than there is bad.
Do you think that you would have answered the question the same way if you were still living in New York?
I don't know. I don't think I would. I don't know if I would.
My wife said something to me the other day. She said, I told you at the beginning, we spent 4 months in Florence. And she said, I got to be honest with you. I like you better in Italy. And
I like you better in Italy too. So I get
it. So maybe there is some magic to the lens that you're currently in that allows you to look at it through a lens that is so different from the lens. There's an author, sure. another guy you should connect with. He actually just moved to Florence. His name is David Bach.
Okay.
He wrote a book called The Latte Factor, and it's been I don't know it's been in the top 20 on the New York Times probably for 15 years. It's about savings.
Really? Okay.
But he hit a point in his life where he's been saving all this money and teaching people how to save money. And then he just said, well, I think I need to start living richly. And so he's like, well, how do I do it? And he moved his family to Florence, and PBS just did a special with him, Francis Ford Coppola, who's in Italy, and Sting, who's in Tuscany. And Francis Mays. So it's Sting, Francis Mays, Coppola, and him. It's called Dream Italia. And it's an amazing series from multiple different directions that I think you'd really enjoy.
Ooh, okay. Oh my gosh, I'm like writing down.
That's what this is about. We're swapping ideas. Okay, so we're going to do a quick speed round now as we do our final wrap. What would one of your friends say is your superpower?
Being able to quote The Office.
That's what she said.
Yeah.
Do you know what's funny when you have a 6-year-old and you and your wife do that all day long? We went out to dinner the other night. We're sitting with another couple, and out of nowhere, my 6-year-old goes, "That's what she said." And I went, "Oh shit.
Oh shit.
Oh shit." Do you collect anything, or have you ever collected anything?
Ooh, I don't collect anything now, but I used to collect Tamagotchis. You remember those?
No.
Oh my gosh. They were these little keychain things, right? With like digital pets on them. And you just had to keep your Tamagotchi from dying. And it was the best.
Casey, I was born in 1966. You know, there was no digital anything. I had Mr. Potato Head. Okay. And I was lucky to have it.
Amazing. Well, I also collected Britney Spears CDs, so that too.
Yeah, I was on my first marriage when Britney came out. What do people never ask you, but you wish they did? You're like, people ask me all the time, but they never ask me this.
Oh my gosh, what my favorite hype song is? What my ultimate hype song is? I know that's so random, but what my ultimate hype song is?
What is it?
Don't Stop Me Now from Queen. You put that song on, okay. I could be on my deathbed, and I will rally, and we will be going out. I swear. I literally love the song.
I'm going to have the editor put that in this spot right here. That's really funny. What book have you reread the most? You Are a Badass, Jen. And Harry Potter, but specifically Harry Potter Deathly Hallows. Oh, that's interesting. Yep. What is your guilty pleasure?
Cheetos. 10,000% Cheetos. Crunchy Cheetos. Normal, not flaming hot, crunchy, normal Cheetos. I could eat a whole bag of them, and it's actually probably best that they're not sold here in Italy because it was dangerous. Yeah.
If you had to give a TED Talk on nothing that you're known for, so you're not doing a TED Talk on acting, you're not doing anything on Italy, but it could be on anything that you like other than those two things, anything you have a passion for, what would it be?
Anything about The Office. Why is the best show? Why I love it. Oh my gosh, yes. I could give a TED Talk on anything about The Office. I love it.
It's, was there something in The Office that you saw working in the corporate world, or is it the acting, the way that they deliver it?
And the humor. Yeah. I love Steve Carell, but like, it's just the jokes and the acting and the humor get me every single time. Rob, I have watched this show through probably 50 times. That maybe even be too small. Like, I love this show, and the jokes never get old. They never get old.
He's so good. Did you see the movie he did with Mark Wahlberg?
Which one?
I don't know what it was. I have to look it up. So somebody's gonna message me now. He did a movie with Mark Wahlberg, and Mark Wahlberg is in the scene, and I saw him interviewed. And he talked about this. Mark Wahlberg has got his shirt off and Steve Carell is in there talking to him. He looks at him and he says, "Would you put your goddamn shirt on, please?"
I can watch anything with Steve Carell. I think he is so funny.
His delivery is unbelievable.
It's on point. It's so good.
It's so good. All right, last question. What one question would you like to ask me? We'll change it up.
Oh my gosh. I would like to reverse the question back on you that you asked me. What is one thing that you think differently of now that you maybe thought something different a year ago, a month ago, 5 years ago?
I am very entrepreneurial by nature.
Yeah.
And when I see somebody that is complaining about their lot in life, I have an immediate reaction to, well, just go get a fucking job, or just go create a business, or just get out of your own shit. And because that's how I view things. Sure. And I've came from not great circumstances, and I've been able to find a way to pull myself up by the bootstraps and rise above it. And now I realize that it's not always easy for people to make the changes that they talk about in their life. Sometimes they're just in pain, and sometimes they have emotional traumas that they just have not been able to work through. Sometimes there's circumstances like when you're, I don't know, I'll make up an example, a single mom with 3 kids and a job, and you're trying to figure out how to survive. Your head is not in the most creative place to be able to change your lot in life. So what I realized is that I can easily be a dick in that area and not be empathetic to somebody's situation. So my knee jerk is always, well, go fix it.
Right.
But now I've realized that to truly help facilitate a change, or at least certainly part of it, is to have compassion and empathy and encouragement, and know that people are going through whatever journey it is that they're on their journey. That's not your journey. That's their journey. Your job is not to fix it. Your job is to be a human. Yes,
a human. Could you imagine if the world ran like that? If we all had that similar mindset of viewing each other as human beings, and that we all have our own struggles. Could you imagine what type of change that would make?
Casey, you and me are going to do it. We're going to be the Pied Piper of changing the world.
Yes, when you come to Florence, we'll have to do it. We'll start a band. It'll be amazing.
It'll be amazing. It'll be amazing. I'll wear. You can wear your kombucha keychain T-shirt.
Amazing.
And I'll put
and you wear your lashes and your pumps.
And with a Mr. Potato Head shirt on.
Yes.
Do you have any final words, suggestions, or an ask for people that are listening?
Do the things that scare you. They're so rewarding. Do the things that scare you. I got the advice once that you should do one thing a day that scares you. Because when it scares you, that's when you know that you're going to grow from it. And so
Google that, and with TED Talk. There's a girl who did that for 365 days. Every day she did one thing that scared her. And it, I don't want to give the surprise away, but the 365th one is pretty incredible.
Yeah.
So it starts small and it builds big. Well, this has been more fun than I thought it was, than I imagined it was going to be. Not that I thought it was going to be bad, but I didn't realize it was going to be this freaking good. So my computer's about to die. Bear with me.
Oh, no, you're fine. Next time we'll do it in cat's outfits.
There we go. So this has been an absolute blast. Thank you so much for doing this. And I will link everything up in the show notes.
Awesome. Thank you for having me. This was fun.
You're welcome.